Welcome to Evolution Revolution. It is such a joy to have you with us today. My name is Susan Allan, and as many of you know, the purpose of our show is to introduce you to breakthroughs in the human potential movement that really work. To introduce you to different people who have different skills and different gifts so that you can see if this is something that would make a real contribution to your life. And I think most of you already know that I also offer a 1-hour free consultation if you'd like to hear about heart space solutions, if you want to learn a new way to think, speak, listen, and act, because that really transforms so many of the challenges that we have, and better yet, it allows us to avoid most of them. So it's just thrilling to have you with me, because today I am welcoming Mirabai Devi to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. It's an honor to be here.
I'm just thrilled. I'm just thrilled.
Thank you.
So let me tell all of you about Mirabai Devi, if you don't already know the gift that she is to all of us. So Mirabai is a conduit for the light and for the divine feminine, and she's actually transmitting right now. So please enjoy this really rare and special gift. Her teachings emphasize the importance of spiritual practices for self-realization, combined with a commitment to personal growth. When people meet Mirabai, their lives change. They feel happier and more empowered. Their bodies feel healthier, and they feel the power of the light. And let me tell you that since Mirabai walked into the studio about 40 minutes ago, I have been flying even higher than normal. So I can attest. Mirabai's work, combined with divine grace and the spiritual practices she suggests, moves others from their own personal darkness into light. She was born in Johannesburg, South Africa, and when she was 3, she began to experience spontaneous visitations from divine masters and light beings, specifically coming to comfort, awaken, and activate her to her life's purpose. She experienced astral travel and the bliss of union with the divine. And since then, Mirabai has worked with millions of people worldwide as a global facilitator for healing and consciousness. And she's created her Light Worker Training School with branches throughout the United States. Through her Light Worker training, Mirabai is committed to inspiring, activating, and mentoring those of us who have been called to serve the planet in a larger capacity and who want to complete our own life lessons, which I know from speaking to so many of you is pretty much everybody, right? Don't we want to complete those life lessons? They weren't that much fun, and we've had enough, you know? Okay. So most of you already know that I've been to India 57 times, and I've studied with so many of the enlightened masters of the East and the Far East, and that there's nothing that thrills me more. And Mirabai has studied in India as well, which I found really thrilling. That was an additional excitement for me. As Mirabai continued her own personal evolution, she was led to an avatar's ashram in India, and there she gave over her life to enlightenment and to God. Shortly after leaving the ashram while on a retreat in Goa, she had her big awakening with the light. And there's so much more that we're going to learn today from Mirabai, so
thank you.
Here we go. And my first question is, and I could talk to you all day, I really could, or not talk at all. I read that at one point you were hit with a bolt of spiritual light, and that you went into, another state for 8 weeks in which you laughed and cried, and you merged with the divine. And you said that I love this, when you reached for food, you were the food, you were the hand reaching, you were the table, and you were the plate. That you merged with all, and you were every atom of being. You are every blade of grass. Can you tell us more?
I would love to. Thank you for asking, Susan. First of all, I was in Goa on a self-retreat, and I was 22 years old, and I went out on a rock. I just left living in an ashram for 8 weeks with a divine avatar, and I lay out on these rocks, and I said, God, if you can reveal yourself to me, if I can see your face, if I can know you, then that is what I have lived for. I said, I don't want to take another breath. I don't want to eat another morsel of food. I will lay on this rock and die unless you show yourself to me. I've done everything that I'm here to do. The only thing left for me to keep me alive is to see you, to know you, to experience you. And this still small voice said to me, get up and go back to your cabin. And I got up, as Susan said, I went back to my cabin, and I was hit with a bolt of spiritual light. I fell backwards, I laughed, and I cried for 8 hours. It was just, my whole life was unraveled in front of me. I started pulling off my bangles and my jewelry, and I said, I am no longer the actress. All of that dissolved, and I merged into the universal self for 8 weeks. And during those 8 weeks, it was like not a blade of grass could move within the universe without me knowing it. I was it, I knew it, I experienced it, the oneness, every star, every cell, every atom, every molecule of creation, I was merged into it. And then functioning during those 8 weeks was interesting, because I would, as Susan was saying, if I tried to have any of the normal functions, I was merged into everything. And so I didn't have the individual self. I didn't have the individual personality. I didn't have the access to experiencing, this is my body. I was as much the bar of soap as I was the water when I tried to take a shower, as much the food as I was the hand, as I was the one that was trying to get fed. And so my process was being on the outside, looking in without an individualized state for 8 weeks. And during that process, I think Susan's going to want to talk about a little bit more later about what happened, because there were many different phases of that process.
You're coming back again and again to do this show, because I already have another 25 questions that are bubbling up. Okay.
Good.
Now, you've said that the force of God came through you and instantaneously took away human suffering, people's suffering, illness and pain, and that in the near-death experience you had, I just loved what you said, because I've had a near-death experience as well, and this is the exact experience. And in fact, I've spoken about it many times on the show. You described it as dying and going home to the light. And you were shown that your life purpose was to come back and help humanity realize God. So what is your vision of planet Earth and the purpose of planet Earth?
You know, humanity is asleep. I would have said before the 21st of December 2012, 97.5% of humanity was asleep. And I would say that since the Great Shift, which took place not just on this planet, but on the other planets also, probably we've gone to about 97% is asleep, and we're decreasing. And we're going to move down to 95% that are asleep. So my vision of what's happening on the planet is you have a lot of human beings that are asleep. You have nature that's evolving and moving to the next level of her evolution. Mother Earth is moving to the next level of her evolution. And then you have the possibility, because of the sun, because of the place that this Earth is in the solar system, we've moved into a place of far greater light. The light is coming in from the sun and from the galactic core. And so my vision is to awaken consciousness in all of humanity as rapidly as possible, as without creating too much turbulence in the awakening. So there can be a steady awakening so people don't freak out,
Yes.
and that nature can also be stable and stabilized. as we go through this process of cleansing the negativity that humanity has put out into nature and onto nature, destroying the earth and the life of the earth, and turn that around and begin to clean that up. As we wake up the individuals, we'll also wake up the collective consciousness. And now that the light is streaming into the planet, we will be able to see more human beings opening up to receive what is available to them, which is far greater light than ever before. Now they truly have the opportunity, if they choose it, with their free will, to wake up.
Thank you. And so the light answers you directly. And then,
yes,
would you still call this a miracle, or would you actually say that this is something that's available to so many humans, but we never knew it before? Most of us didn't know it.
We are the light. The light is within us. Our inner self, which is the cosmic self, the capital S, the great self, is within all beings, within all humans. The inner voice, the still small voice within us, is always guiding us. All we have to do is clear the clutter, clear the veils that are in the way, and listen to that inner voice that is guiding all of us. It's the voice that you've known. It's the innermost voice that you've known that is closer to you than your own breath, closer than your own heartbeat. It's the very voice of your great self, capital S.
Thank you. This is a really important answer that you just gave me. This is a different answer to that question from the other answers I've heard. And it is such a gift.
Good.
And I know that I'm going to listen to that answer many, many times, and I hope that each of you finds it as extraordinary as I did, as well. So, in 2008, having been in America for 10 years, you decided to move to Kauai in Hawaii and put so much time and attention to your groups there and your retreats there and your intensives there. And is it because of a unique healing capability in Kauai?
Great question. Howard Wills moved me to Kauai. He invited me to come, and he brought me there, and it completely changed my life. I really wanted to bring people into this place of paradise, because the nature and the energy there is so much light, and it's the grandmother island. So the Divine Mother consciousness is so strong on this island, it really helps with the work. Kauai works on people. It works on you while you're sleeping. And it in itself is transmuting you. And then the energy that I'm working with of the divine light that's passing through me 24/7 is so transformational, it transmutes people's negativity. So when you have the combination between the transformational energy of the light that I'm focusing on and the transformational energy of the grandmother Kauai divine mother energy that's transmuting people, you get the double whammy, you see. And that's really why it's so effective to bring people there and do the work there. And that island is so deeply spiritual and so deeply beautiful, and that's why Howard is there, and that's why Howard brought me there, because there's a different choice of lifestyle that you can live there. It's a lifestyle that is far lighter and freer of the negativity that exists out in the world.
Now I understand. Thank you. So I know that you tailor the client sessions specifically and individually to each client's needs, based on health needs, energetic needs, in order to eliminate blockages, etc. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, definitely. That's a great question. Some people come to me who are physically ill. Some people come who are emotionally ill. Some come who are mentally ill. Some just have ancestral lineage patterns in belief systems. Some of them, it's their genetics. Some of them are dealing with emotional issues like depression or fear. And some people just want to wake up. They just want to be activated in the light and wake up, and they're looking for a spiritual practice. So when I'm working with people, my first objective is to get them out of the mind and into the heart, because in the heart lives the spirit. Spirit dwells, the kingdom of heaven dwells within us, within our own heart. So bringing them into the higher frequency of the divine light and raising their vibration into the light automatically transmutes them. And then we start moving through negative belief systems, negative thought forms, patterns from the lineage and the ancestry that are blocking them to act out of old unconscious paradigms. We start cleansing all of those through spiritual practices and through light transmissions, and the light and the prayers and the forgiveness work transmutes the negativity and transforms whatever their situation is from limitation to unlimited, from pain and suffering to freedom and joy. And so people experience physical shifts directly in the presence of the light, or they experience emotional and mental shifts, but ultimately their lives are going to change because they're being affected by these higher frequencies of the light, which brings up all of your stuff so that you can release it and let it go. And then what remains is more and more light that dwells inside of you, so there's more room to anchor more light into your being. So people experience that heaviness leaving them. They experience that negativity leaving them. They experience blocks leaving them. And even if the blocks are physical, those bring the lessons that we need to understand from the blocks or from the pain. We get the message. We receive the message from the messenger, which is the pain, and then that can leave. And the body spontaneously heals itself. The body knows how to spontaneously heal itself because the body is consciousness. The body never lies. The body will always tell the truth because it's nature, and nature loves us so much. So that's what people experience when they're exposed to this work.
Now, what I want everyone in Santa Barbara to know is yesterday there was a huge wildfire called the White Fire that many of you know about. And I looked outside the window and it was really scary to me. The smoke was really unbelievable, the smoke blocking the sun. It was quite horrific. And so I made a call, and I called Anne, who's been a guest on the show, and Mirabai is staying with her, and I said, please, would you please ask Mirabai to do what she can in order to eliminate this in Santa Barbara, to bring still air, bring moist air, even bring rain if that's a possibility. We need to have a healthy environment. And I went to sleep with all the windows closed just in case. I didn't know how quickly this would all turn around. And I awakened at 8 o'clock this morning, and most of you know, you looked out the window this morning, the sky's blue. There's no smell of smoke. It's as if this doesn't even exist. I called a very dear friend in Solvang because I was very concerned about him. Solvang is right near where all this is happening. He said, oh no, everything's fine. I said, well, how are your horses? Oh, they're fine. Wonderful. As if he, he said, that's so sweet of you to call. As if, he was just, what was I making a big fuss about? But believe me, last night, when my neighbor came over to watch the news, and I had some precious photos at the front door, and she did too, this is not a kidding around thing. This is not a joking matter. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. You cannot know how much this means to, thousands and thousands and thousands of us.
Well, nature is love, and nature is conscious, and nature is intelligent. And when we send our love into nature, and we talk to nature, and we communicate to nature with love, it responds so immediately and so deeply. And that's really what each of us need to develop and practice, is talk to the wind, talk to the sun, talk to the rain, talk to the elements. I've been doing, and we'll talk about it more later, I've been doing these global healing teleconferences for years now, which are all over the world on the telephone, where we work with tornadoes, we work with hurricanes, we work with tsunamis, we work with fires, we work with floods. All of these conditions we work to pacify. Beautiful. Because we talk to nature. Beautiful. We pray, we communicate with love, we say forgiveness prayers, we do peacemaking, beautiful. And then nature will calm down. We've been tracking some of our results.
Fascinating, fascinating. Okay, now this is the new world. This is the new world, as Mirabai has said. And it began on December 22nd when the new Mayan calendar began. the day after the old Mayan calendar ended. And I have experienced in the work that I've done a tremendous ease.
Yes.
And I will say that ever since I spent 6 days with Howard Wills, and then I saw you one of those days,
Yes.
so that was a wonderful boon as well, that it has gotten even easier. The flow is there. But please
Yes.
explain this to everyone.
See, on the 22nd of December, we raised our frequency as a planet greater into the light. And as more light came into the planet, our vibrational frequency as a collective humanity got higher. Our resonance got lifted vibrationally higher, which means that we all have the opportunity to experience that more light is vibrating in our bodies. Nature is already evolving to its next level. It's awakening, and it's moving greater and deeper into the light. As a goddess, Mother Earth is waking up. And in the process of Mother Earth waking up, part of this new energy is the restoration of the divine feminine on the planet. And people are asking, what does that mean? What does it mean that the great feminine is being restored on the planet? And what it means is that far greater grace, divine mercy, divine compassion is available to us as human beings, which means when we're tuned into the light, the blocks and the obstacles are removed out of the way, and we're given the grace factor in our lives. We can just move, we can go, things are easier, things flow better, they're lighter, they're more fun, because that's the Divine Mother energy. Divine Mother energy is a circle, it's inclusive, it's not hierarchical, it's not dogmatic. And that's where the world was before. We were based on the masculine patriarchies, where the planet, the animals, the humans were dominated through aggressive tendencies, war, violence, starvation, poverty, and the Divine Mother, which has been restored, which is pouring into the planet, especially since the floodgates opened with the new earth and the new world on the 22nd of December, which now means that all of this nurturing, compassionate, loving, easy, joyful freedom is available to us. We don't have to struggle. There's a new paradigm, a paradigm of joy, and that's why we're experiencing such a change. It's a vibrational change in consciousness that we're experiencing. Those of us that are tuned in and awake and aware know it, and those of us that are not as aware can feel it. We just haven't fully registered it.
You know, in the 70s, my favorite book was called Ecstasy is a New Frequency. And when I read it, I was far from ecstatic. And I thought, oh, if I just can last long enough, be there. So, but of course, the question is, how can we eliminate negativity from our mind, body, and spirit, and also from our lineage, which is so key?
I would have to say that that is an obvious answer. The forgiveness prayers.
It is.
The forgiveness prayers are so wonderful in that they cleanse away the veils of negativity, separation, suffering, and pain that is coming through our entire family and lineage across time and across the generations. And when we peacemake for all the negativity that has occurred, that has not only been done within the lineage, but that has also been done to the earth and to nature and to life itself, then we cleanse up the DNA, the programs, and the genetics. The genetics are made out of belief systems which come through the lineage, and we cleanse the old paradigms which limit us into suffering and pain, into unbounded freedom, which we experience when we become the fruit of our lineage. We become the product of our lineage, where the buck stops here. We literally stop with the negativity by cleaning up the negativity, which is the karma, the accumulated karma from our family and our ancestral lineage. And then we become the living example through a cleansed state of being continuously throughout the day through the use of the short forgiveness prayer, as well as the long forgiveness prayers, which are available both on my website and also on Howard's website. And we'll give you the websites at the end. When you practice these forgiveness prayers, they literally, throughout the day, cleanse all the past karma and then the present day karma until you're in the now. And there is never a limit to the amount that we can cleanse, because there's infinite levels of enlightenment. There's infinite levels of being awake. There's infinite levels to being at peace. We're never there. We just keep cleansing because the forgiveness is for ourselves. When we change ourselves, we see the reflection in our relations on the outside. So when we do the forgiveness prayers for our family members, their lives, their health, their reality starts clearing up and getting better. They feel better. They do better. And then we feel good about what we're doing. So it's a win-win for everyone.
And thank you. And I know that you're the conduit for the divine light and also the divine feminine.
Yes.
So for people who don't understand what that means, please let us know.
That's such a beautiful question. I'm so honored to answer that. Ever since I was 3 years old, the light has been coming to me. And I basically merged with the light when I was 22 years old in India, in Goa. And since then, I've been integrating, since I was 22 years old, I've been integrating this experience of merging into the divine light. I came back into my body, as Susan was talking about earlier on, through a near-death experience. I almost completely left. I didn't know if I was going to be able to come back in. I did come back in, and it's taken me since I was 22 to be able to integrate the intensity of knowing that I am the light, of being merged into everything, and experiencing the power that the light has to instantly transform reality, including people's physical bodies. And so in this process, I have just simply given my life to the divine light. I laid myself down on that rock and I gave my life to the divine light. And every day I offer my life to the light, just like every day you can offer your life to the light and to be used as an instrument. And since then, I just tune into the light and I ask the light to work through me. And the light is always talking to me and showing me and guiding me exactly what I need to do, where I need to go, what I need to tell people, how to help people, the answers of what is causing people's health problems, and so forth. And so the light coming through me is a higher vibrational frequency and resonance that lifts other people up around me into the same frequency and the same resonance. It's quantum physics. And at the same time, I'm a servant of the Divine Mother, which means the Divine Mother in all of her different forms and aspects comes through me to do her work on the planet, which means specifically that the nature of what comes through me are a lot of the different qualities are the qualities of the Divine Feminine, which are compassion, which is kindness, which is humility, which is co-creation, which is breaking down the old boxes and paradigms that we were stuck in as a patriarchal civilization, which is embracing joy as a new paradigm, which is the nurturing, whether it's through hugging others or touching people in the third eye for Shaktipat, or light transmissions, or just simply holding people and listening to people, and then bringing them into the light. This constant grace and compassion of the Divine Feminine is coming through. And I'm literally driven to help nature, to protect the animals, because they don't have a voice. They can't protect themselves. And so I've started these teleconferences now where we speak up and have a voice on behalf of the animals, the trees, the plants, and all of nature, to protect all life on the earth, as well as sending light and asking for the light to help to create situations that are buffers to protect nature and to protect the animals. And so I'm being given this voice through me of the voice of the Divine Mother that cares so much about her children, that loves her children so much, that wants humanity to wake up, that wants humanity to realize that they need to stop destroying the earth and the life of the earth, and they need to go back into being loving and nurturing and kind and compassionate. And that's the message that she brings through me every day, all day, every day.
This is so perfect, because you know what I teach people is how to calm themselves down and reconnect to themselves in a peaceful and present way. Then and only then can they connect to their family, their loved ones, their co-workers in a peaceful and cooperative way. And that's the only way that they can create any kind of solution that's going to work for anyone. And when you do that, it's creating a solution that works for everyone, not just yourself. And you know that because you see me talking about that all the time. But what's so remarkable to me is that your mission is in 3 parts.
Yes.
And you were told that.
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
When I had my near-death experience when I was in India and I merged into the light for 8 weeks, I went over onto the other side. And I was in a heavenly realm, and a great being appeared to me in that heavenly realm and said that I needed to go back, and that my mission was in 3 parts. 1 was to help humanity, masses. 2, teach the teachers, which I then interpreted when I came back to activate the light workers and get them stable in their communities, transmitting light and leading their communities through working with the light in whatever form that looked like. And 3 was to help awaken my family and bring them back to the light, help them to wake up and complete their life lessons also. And so I have done all of those 3 things. I have been working with millions of people for 22 years all over the world. We'll talk more about that in terms of establishing centers and global healing teleconferences, television, radio work,
Yes.
speaking at international conferences and festivals. But also I have begun the Lightworker schools around North America and soon in other countries, which are already beginning in parts. And then myself and Howard, and bringing my family to the light through the forgiveness prayers, through light transmissions, through teaching them spiritual practice, as well as their own awakening, which has been phenomenal because my own family are global spiritual leaders, movers, and shakers, which was the result of the light moving through the lineage.
Wow.
And so I've really come to see the miraculous effect of coming back into my body and coming back into this world and devoting my life to the light. I have witnessed miracle upon miracle of how the light changes lives.
And now to go from that blissful moment to the question of, there are so many people who just don't see and get that they deserve it, that they deserve
Yes.
to be. And I would say that they don't yet see.
Yes.
You know, it hasn't occurred to them yet.
The reason is because when we come into these body suits, we take on amnesia through our ego and we go to sleep. And waking people up into the light means mind, ego, and personality have to surrender to the light. And when the mind, ego, and personality surrender to the light, then we remember that we don't have to suffer, that we can experience joy. So spiritual practice is essential on a daily basis when we do the forgiveness prayers, when we express gratitude all day long, when we focus on the light, because what we focus on we create and magnify and attract to us, when we're positive in our thoughts, our words, and our actions, and we turn every single area of our life from negativity into positivity, digging in all the dark corners, then all we experience is neutrality. And neutrality is the middle way. It's the balance. It's not going through the ups and the downs, the roller coaster of life, which is what the ego nature drives us. So the ego tells us we're not deserving. The higher self and soul, which, by the way, has been taught through a lot of the old world religions that we're unworthy.
Yes.
And now
Yes.
the new paradigm teachings, which are really ancient, you see them in the Vedic teachings and the
Yes.
Vedic scriptures,
Yes.
it's just the knowledge got lost.
And we are worth it.
And we are
Of course.
worthy is the teachings of, the true teachings of spiritual teachers, spiritual masters, and spiritual avatars throughout the ages that got lost through the religious traditions was, we are beings of light. We are incarnations of divine love. We're embodiments of the divine, and we've just forgotten it. So wake up and realize it and experience it, and do everything you can within your power to do your spiritual practice every day to clear the veils of separation so that you can come into the knowledge of oneness, that you are one with all life, that you are one with all beings, that you deserve to be abundant, that abundance is your divine birthright. That is who and what you are.
Thank you so much. So tell us about one client or student who has had just a marvelous transformation that I know everybody would love to hear one of those stories.
Well, one of the beauties of the divine light is that I've had two people. One woman had an egg-shaped abscess on the side of her mouth that looked like an egg. It was coming from a tooth abscess. And another woman had been cleaning her apartment. She's on Maui. And she had kicked some furniture while she was cleaning. She runs a bed and breakfast. And she had formed an egg shape on her foot from the bruising. It was like a large black egg. And with both women going into prayer, calling on the divine light, which comes through like a force of lightning, we literally watched the egg just dissolve in front of our eyes. And then the skin went from black blue back to normal. And in the one case, it happened over about 3-4 minutes. The other case, it happened over 30 minutes. And when you see physical transformations from the power of the divine light, when you know it has nothing, to do with you, that you are the instrument, and that the divine light is what is melting and changing the molecular structure, and that it is pure consciousness because the body is made out of light. And when you change the molecular structure of the body through peacemaking, and through transmitting light, the physical molecules will change shape, whether it's from a large egg dissolving, or whether it's from black and blue dissolving, or whether it's a broken bone or a torn ligament or a headache, or whether it's just somebody having a negative reality because they were programmed with depression through their lineage. It's all the same. You bring somebody into the presence of the light, the darkness dissolves. And what people experience is not so much that the physical reality changes, that's a blessing. It's more bringing them back to the divine light, bringing them into a higher state of consciousness to understand that everything on the physical is energy and can be changed, and to get them to be more in the reverence and respect of the divine. Bring everyone back into love. It's bringing people back to the love. That's the important part of the work. And those people, particularly these individuals that were touched by the experience, as shocking as it is for them in the moment, it's to see that they then were brought closer to the divine. That's the reward for me, is to bring people back to the divine, bring people home to God, home to the light, home to love. That's really what they experienced.
And to live an unlimited possibility.
The unlimited possibility comes from being in the consciousness of the cosmic energy, the cosmic self, the Christ consciousness. Limitation comes from the ego nature. So when we shift out of the ego into the divine consciousness, which is Christ consciousness, then we too can live in this expanded, infinite, unlimited freedom. Just as the divine beings that have come before us have shown us and demonstrated how to do for us.
Yes, thank you. And there's a wonderful quote of yours, which is, unifying within your heart with that internal state of love, love for self, love for the light. And so for many people, they have this personality that they've taken on and they believe that's who they are. And it's a personality of suffering. How do they rise above that and then really reunite consciously with their true nature, which everyone's true nature is peace and joy?
The ego holds us in negativity because it is addicted to suffering. The divine self is, in its very nature, in its very essence, pure love. It is pure joy. It is happiness. It is freedom, because that is what the soul is. The soul is the divine. The drop of water contains the entire ocean. The acorn seed contains the entire acorn tree. When you bring in the light, that's another quote of mine, the light always works. When you bring in the divine light through a light transmission, or you bring in forgiveness and you peacemake, the ego has no power. It automatically relaxes and releases. When you don't give power to your negative thoughts, when you don't give power to your negative emotions, and you simply feel what's present in your body and allow yourself to transmute it with a forgiveness prayer, bring in a forgiveness prayer. Bring in the light. Focus on a positive thought. Bring in a positive affirmation. Automatically, what suffering? The suffering is gone.
Yes.
Because the suffering is only real when you are focused on the reality of it and you're not utilizing your spiritual practices to transmute it.
Yes.
It's real on this level, but you can transmute it with forgiveness. You can transmute it with light. And when you bring in the higher frequency energies, the suffering will dissolve, the ego will dissolve, because it knows that the light will always prevail. There is nothing more powerful than the divine light. The light will always prevail. The light always works.
Yes, and now we're going to talk about a topic that's so important because another one of my friends died.
Yes.
And this is a time when so many people are choosing to just transition, which is another term for death. And so I'm actually going to be the master of ceremonies at the
Beautiful.
memorial,
Beautiful.
which is a new title, believe
Yes.
me. And so when Patty Kelly was very near death, a wonderful woman, a devotee of Sai Baba for many, many years, she was in complete peace. When my friend Rama Seltzer died a number of years ago, longtime devotee of Muktananda and Guru Mai, she was actually giving darshan in the last month of her life. People were coming and bringing their friends and
Yes.
whatever. What is this secret so that everyone at home can really understand that death can be a peaceful, blissful transition?
When I was in South Africa, the leader of the Transcendental Meditation Organization, a woman who actually had taught me TM when I was 7 years old, she was transitioning, and I worked on her before she left for a matter of months. And I helped her to resolve her life lessons and to have a peaceful transition. People said that for miles around, you could feel the presence of peace. When you walked in the room, you could smell the roses. There were angels singing in the room. Everybody that came in came to get the presence of this blessing. And when I felt her leave her body, I never forget, I was in New Jersey, and I got the news that she'd left her body, but I already knew because I felt what she felt. She merged into nature. She became one with the wind. She became one with the rain. She became one with the earth. She became one with the elements. And the freedom and expansion that she experienced was what I experienced in my body. And that was the most direct way that I had ever experienced death. It was the most exhilarating liberation that I have experienced other than my state that I attained in India during those 8 weeks when I merged into the divine. The liberation that can come through the transition of what we call death, which is really just the transformation from one body, one form, one limitation out into the next frame of the movie, which is really what they experience. You know, animals don't experience death. They just experience one frame of the movie changing to the next frame of the movie, and they don't actually experience it as a death.
Wow.
There's no experience there of death. And so in human beings, when we leave our body and we have to realize that we're not our body, that's what's shocking.
Yes.
Oh, we're not our body, and then we continue, and life continues on. And when that occurs and you can be where you've resolved your life lessons, you know, in the Vedic scriptures, they say, remember the name of God through your life. Remember the name of God. Repeat the names of God. Keep your mouth and your brain focused on forgiveness prayers or on names of God instead of having that monkey mind that's chattering about a whole bunch of garbage. And when you leave your body, you will go there into God. You'll go into the light because that's what you focused on. If you make peace with everything and everyone in your life, you have nothing to worry about. You're going to transition into the light. So you want to do your work while you're still alive. You don't want to wait to do your work after. Much better that way.
And you know, when you say that, when people who know about Mahatma Gandhi, famously, the last word that he spoke was Ram, which is one of the names of God. And what people don't realize is the reason that he said the name of God, Ram, at the moment that he was shot and was dying was because he was always saying the name of God. It was his mantra, just as you've been trained to have a mantra. You know, I have Om Namah Shivaya. And I'm telling you, if a car backfires and I'm in New York, I don't think about it. I just go, Om Namah Shivaya.
Right.
And I've worked with a lot of other gurus since then, but it's still that one, because that's the one that I said 12,000 times.
Yes,
you know?
Exactly.
And so this may be part of the answer to the next question. And we don't have that much time, but we want to get all these questions answered. So we're in the flow. You know, I was in that incredible altered state where I was one with trees and air and all that for 8 hours. Not 8 weeks, but, you know, 8 hours. And then I thought I was home free. And so when we go into it and then we come back to this kind of a world,
yes,
how do we perpetuate that state of bliss?
Well, that's probably a great question for me because I've been in and out of the state since, I told you, since I was 22. And the last 4 months, I've been basically more in that state than out of the state. And I've been asking myself that question every day, is how do I, you know, the thing is that what I've learned in having this be a life path for me is that it's really important to stabilize it and to go at the pace. Don't bite off more than you can chew, because you need to bite off as much as you can stabilize, because you don't want to have the ups and the downs. So if you peacemake, if you chant the names of God, if you focus on the light, if you meditate on the golden light, if you call in the divine light, if you call in the divine mother, and you focus on just experiencing the presence of the divine as love, and then you go back and you burn up your issues, and you burn up your patterns through actually consciously tackling them rather than waiting for them to attack you. Tackle them with being proactive. You do the preventative medicine through doing the spiritual practices, the forgiveness prayers, the gratitude, the peacemaking, the light transmissions, the focusing on the golden light, meditating on the golden light. If you do that proactively, it'll burn up the stuff, the patterns that come through your family and lineage that keep pulling you out of the bliss. They're going to keep pulling you out of the bliss because you're in a body. We're existing in this world, which is in duality. As long as you're in duality, you're going to have dark and light. You're going to have pain and you're going to have joy. And as long as you accept that, all you have to ask yourself all day long is, how am I feeling? How is my body feeling? How am I feeling right now? Ground yourself. Bring the light into the body and spiritualize the body. Ground yourself, bring yourself into the earth, and make sure that everything you do is practical. You want to be love in action. You want to bring practicality into your actions, bring the bliss into your actions, and serve in the light, and then you'll be able to sustain the state. Then it'll become manageable. That's the way to do it.
Thank you. And I think what we should do with the last, I think it's about 8 minutes, is first have you talk about your light worker training, and then I'll, after that, just so you can kind of divvy it up in your mind, and then I'll ask you a little bit more about the teleconference, which you're doing tonight. Okay, so if you start with the light worker training, then we know that we'll be able to give everybody all the information they need.
Okay. So the light worker training was the second part of the 3-part mission, where I was asked to teach the teachers. And so I looked all over the world for people, and people found me also that were ready to work with the light. They are the souls that are going home to the light, and they've already learned that playing in darkness is not fun. It's a
I'm raising my hand.
Light worker right here. So we make a fast track of going to the light and learning through the light, learning through joy. It's the completion of your life lessons. It's working through your final stuff, all of your stuff, and it's peacemaking with the lineage, cleansing all the stuff you're carrying from the lineage through lives. That's really ultimately what we do for the light worker training, and then we put you out into service in the world. Like you have your TV show, other people have, you know, lawyers, they're doctors, some of them are meditation teachers, some of them are going to be working with people with the light. Everyone has their own way of expressing the light in their community. What we do is activate you in the light so that you can go out and do your individual dharma, your right purpose, your calling in the world. That's what we're born with. And when you clean away the darkness, your purpose is revealed. And that's light worker training. We clean away the veils so that you can be ignited into your purpose and then go do it. And then we give you the tools and the support to be able to go do that, as well as teaching you the practices. That was the light worker training.
Yes, and what's so fascinating about this is, you know, I've been doing my thing for a long time now, you know, 40-something years. And I was first awakened when I was 5, and I'm 64.
Wow.
So, you know, I've been looking, you know, where are these groups of people? And this is really the first time in my life. So this is the first time in my life of 64 years, when I am in the presence of someone and everything that I'm hearing is consistent with what I know to be true, there's an energy and an intelligence and a heart that I know to be true, and I am really speechless, because you don't think, when you've been looking for something for more than 50 years, you don't think that it really exists, right? And so then you go into some despairing story that I won't even describe because I don't want you going there. And I want to tell you, you're in the presence right now of me telling you, you guys have known me for about 8 years, telling you this is a miracle that I'm witnessing. I thought I was introducing Mirabai to you. In fact, I am in the presence of something that is rare and unique and that I value extraordinarily. So now please tell us about your teleconference. And only because I'm doing Gigi's show tonight will I miss it, but you can watch Gigi's show online. Do this teleconference.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Susan, for your words, because I surrendered to the divine light, and my only desire now is work through me, speak through me, act through me. This is your body, this is your life. And it truly is. I just want to see the world become back in balance and to see humanity wake up, and that's what I'm passionate about. And when I see a light worker like yourself, it makes me so happy to see you on purpose, doing your mission and helping awakening souls, and God bless you for that work. The teleconferences are to help the many people around the globe that can't physically make it to get into the actual room with my gatherings, where they can come and receive the light transmissions as well as the teachings and the spiritual practices. So we always do a combination of Howard Will's forgiveness prayers, both for global healing as well as for cleansing our own individual families and lineages, as well as cleansing our own bodies and helping to release ourselves from suffering and bring ourselves into greater health. So the teleconferences help our family members because they're receiving the forgiveness prayers which are done for them, as well as helping the planet, which helps, as I said, with hurricanes and tornadoes, natural disasters. We've been helping to calm things down as the changes, the global changes have been occurring. But the light transmissions, they will literally change your body, and they will change your consciousness, and they'll change your life if you allow yourself to receive the light. It's not that you have to believe it, it's just that you have to allow yourself to receive it. The deeper you allow yourself to receive it, the more that the light is going to work on you. And so the beauty about the teleconferences is you can lie down in your bedroom anywhere in the world at any time of the day or night and receive these light transmissions, because light transmission is the medicine of the future. It is the medicine of the future because we can change the molecular structure in this way where individuals can actually experience being reconnected to their true nature, to their true selves, which spontaneously heals all of our bodies, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And that's why it's so important to be able to receive the light transmissions, to be able to do the forgiveness prayers in community, and to be able to be worked on a regular basis so that you can cleanse these layers off of yourself to become healthier, happier, and to have a better life. So the light transmissions, which are done on the teleconferences, are benefiting people's lives all over the globe. And they're not limited by time or space. Even by income, we keep them very low cost, yes, so that anybody can do them. And they're weekly. We do weekly ones. We've done waterfall teleconferences from waterfalls in Kauai. We've done dolphin and whale teleconferences with the dolphins and the whales in Maui and in Kauai. We've also done them in different beautiful sacred sites around the planet. And then we also do the Mayan light activation teleconference, which is tonight at 6 p.m. And that is specifically working with the global change and the restoration of the divine feminine through these principles, through forgiveness prayers, and through light transmission. And we're creating a global community to activate, awaken, and empower human beings to wake up.
I want to hear this, but I'm going to be sitting in this chair. Are they recorded?
They are
one hear them
recorded.
afterwards?
They're all recorded. You can hear them afterwards.
Okay.
We'll make sure you get a copy
Oh,
of tonight's call.
I really want to. So if you go to mirabaidevi.org,
Correct.
then all the information is there, and we still have a few minutes. So I'd love to hear, because this show is seen by people all over the world. I have clients in France, and I've had clients in all different countries, plus most of the states of America. So where do you have centers? Where are there people?
Beautiful question. I have a center in Boston where all of the Northeast comes to. People come from all states in the Northeast. And then I have a Southeast center in Charleston where people come from all over the Southeast to congregate in Charleston, but I also do broadcasting out from there. And then I have been for 15 years teaching out of Los Angeles, also Ojai, and San Diego. We rent places and we put on events. And those are the places that I've consistently been going for 15 years, as well as New York. We have a center in New York.
Where?
Saratoga Springs.
Oh my goodness, my family spends the summer there.
Oh, wow.
How exciting.
Amazing.
We don't mean to be chatting, but I'm just amazed.
So you can join us. You can join us physically in New York, Boston, LA, San Diego, Ojai, or Charleston if you want to participate in any of the centers. And all of the centers meet once a month, both on the telephone with me, where I do light transmissions, or together to do the forgiveness prayers. They gather in groups, they do the forgiveness prayers together, they do my golden light meditation together, and they listen to teachings, as well as doing other spiritual practices that are part of this mission.
Thank you. And I've just noticed that we are now at the sweet end, as opposed to what it's normally called. Please do visit mirabaidevi.org. It is an absolutely exquisite website. And many of the questions that I asked Mirabai today, and many of parts of her answers, are on the website on the different pages. It is a beautiful, inspiring website.
Thank you.
And just, yes, thank you. And I felt so thrilled when I read it. I spent a lot of time on the website because it was such a joy, I have to tell you. It was just wonderful. The Mirabai Devi Global Mayan Light Activation Teleconference and in-person gathering in Ojai tonight, which is at Ann's house, if you know Ann and John Patrick. And go to the website, you'll find it. It's tonight at 6. Believe me, if you can get to Ojai, call the phone number and go in person. It's a magical place, Ann and John Patrick's home. And if not, please join the teleconference. And if you can't tonight, I understand you'll have other chances. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Susan. Thank you.